it was cleared completely, that whole river behind him. Regarding the pull-up on the t-shirt, I don't know. I don't know if it was a pull-up or if it was just underwear. When I'm looking at the picture, I just want to err on the side of caution, and I don't know what it was. Underwear of sorts, I guess. But anyway, well, the police have it now. How long will we continue, or they continue? I don't know if you're referring to us or RCMP, Stacy, but we are involved now till the children are found, as is the RCMP, as is Ground Search and Rescue. So we'll keep putting in our effort. The likelihood is we won't be involved till springtime again. There was the possibility of human remain detection dogs, or cadaver dogs, if you will. Just, we'll let you know. We're kind of, it's on the back burner at the moment, but we're trying to work on a plan. So just, we'll leave that alone for the moment, and we'll do our best to get some more searches happening. I would be very surprised if RCMP does not go out and Ground Search and Rescue does not go out in the springtime. I would be surprised. I don't know if stuff will be sent for forensic testing. The dogs, well, I can't really speak to that right now. I can tell you that right now it's on the back burner for the moment. But we're doing everything we can. We're going to do the best we can to continue to put plans together to find these kids. People say stuff, okay? And I got a call from the RCMP today because they saw an article somewhere that said that they did not approve of the search, and he knew this live was happening tonight, and he wanted me to address that. They approved of it. You heard it here first. We had extensive conversations leading up to the actual search day. And it's a unique relationship we have with law enforcement, because we don't ask for permission to go search. Family asks for help and we go search on their behalf. But we don't get off on the wrong foot. We're going into their case that they've been working, and we want to extend something to them, and at least get on the same page for communication style. Sometimes if we find something, they prefer we just call 911. Sometimes they prefer we call their cell phone. Sometimes they prefer we just send a picture to an email and log where it is. In this case, it was called the cell phone. So I was able to do that throughout the day. And, they thanked us for what they're, we don't need it, but they thanked us for going there. And they surely, although they can't say yay or nay to it, they certainly didn't put up any walls for us to prevent us from going. All right. So I wanted to say that they've been fantastic to communicate with, and it's a one-way flow of information. They're not sharing information with us that would mess up the investigation. The only information we got was from the search crew that was with permission from the RCMP, the coordinates of the boot print and where the blanket was found. Just helps us organize the search. We will continue to do the best we can to locate Jack and Lilly and Jesse Morrissey and all the cases that we're assisting with. Okay. Thank you, Belinda, for reaching out to us to get the intake started. Thank you to Cheryl and Haley for also reaching out to ask for our assistance on the case for Jack and Lilly. All the best to everybody all around, family and friends. We'll continue to do what we do and continue to search for the missing people. Okay, one of our search leaders, and this is Landsdowne. This is the middle river of PICTOU from the Landsdowne Ridge 3 days prior. Pictures don't do it justice. You can see right to the bottom of that river, and so that's one direction. And then this next picture is the other direction at the Landsdowne Station Bridge. These are the track lines. I could put the comparison side by side, but this is pretty well bang on. They have followed the water and gone up and gone around Landsdowne Lake. They hugged it as close as possible, and then right when they hit here, this was all flooded. So they had to come up to the road. They still were looking on the side of the water. You can't depend on that the CalTopo blue line marking the river and waterways is correct. I'll show when we get to group 4. I'll show you what I mean by that in response to these 2 lakes here. And yeah, then they went on the other side of the pipeline trail, and then stayed on the side of the river. And this is just one of the funny things that CalTopo does, especially in Landsdowne Station. When you guys said very little signal, you were not kidding. You can't make a phone call. Like even radio contact is difficult. So my role throughout the day was every 30 to 40 minutes, I'm connecting with each team, and I would have to kind of guess roughly where they would be based on time. So, you know, I figured James was over here, then I have the walkie-talkie on and I'm saying Nick to James until he hits back. Same thing here. I'm driving down this way. When you get to here, yeah, I mean, I may or may not have tried to go down here, but you kind of lose radio contact, which is why you may see on the CBC video where I'm saying, this is where I meet James. Say, okay, we'll see what time you're at when you get to the water. But if you get to that water, you got to decide there, do I have enough time to go down here or do I have to go back? And that's just a decision that he would have to make. So anyway, they completed it. We had the Rogers eSIM satellite coverage stuff. It worked somewhat, not fantastic, but we were pretty dependent on the radios. And all this blue line means is it's a dipping from its satellite coverage, and then the next time it connects to satellite, it's here. So that's why it just draws the straight line. Some people's phones do that. You're going to see that a few times throughout this. Go back. This is just showing, I like to add this on. It's called the map builder overlay to show you the roadways. So, but what I like about it mostly is it shows you the water. This is clear water up here. There's no blue line going there. This blue shape needs to be here, but that's just the way that CalTopo works sometimes. You can tell it ain't perfect. It's just, you know, you're roughly going it. So it may seem like people are crossing the water, but it's just because they're beside the water where it is right now that they're seeing in real time. And then even down here, you can see like the river looks like it's right here even. And it's obviously a little bit wider. Good job, Group 1. They found a child's pink bicycle. We did find out that this was there before. It was found prior to, during the initial searches. No relevance to Jack and Lilly's disappearance. I'm going to share photos. Now we have verified with RCMP that it doesn't hold any relevance. I'm not sharing photos where they have not deemed relevance yet. And it's simply because they just don't have them yet. We want to make sure we have the correct coordinates, and CalTopo is not a perfect system. So we do know where these items are. It's just a matter of making sure we have these last couple items coordinated correctly. This is an upside down kid's trike in the river. Again, no relevance to the case. It's not identifiable as being Jack or Lilly's. This was interesting. So before, maybe a couple days before we came, we were getting a lot of these messages regarding the heat signatures close to the middle river of PICTOU across the road. So we were able to find out where those coordinates were, and we, of course, Group 1, they went down and they spent a considerable amount of time there. As what became apparent, as did search and regular search and rescue personnel, you know what I mean, regular people who get called to go do this. There were these flagging tape markers all over the place, and it was really around where these heat signatures were. So yes, it obviously was important to them as well. All right, so I'm confident that after our view there and then seeing what they obviously did, those heat signatures can be put to rest, that there's nothing there now. What were they? Well, we may never know, but the belief is that it had to do with a bear in the area. This I wanted to share because this Group 1 team is wild. So this culvert connects Landsdowne Lake to the middle river of PICTOU. I can't believe what they did, but if you're guessing what they did, you're probably bang on. They crawled through it. You can see a lot of the debris is kind of washed here. So they crawled through, they moved sticks, they made sure that they're not missing anything. And, you know, they did a bang up job clearing that. And I thank them for that, because that's a daunting task. Okay, group 2, just check. I'll go through the comments after, guys, and I will. I'll comment back to what I can. All right, so just bear with me. I'm not gonna forget you. I'm gonna come back and go through them. Okay, so this is group 2. Group 2 started again Landsdowne Station Road, and they were to follow. Stay on this side of this first river, and then when it connects, turn back, cross that Landsdowne Station, follow this river, keeping it on to the north, get up on McLeod Road, go around, and then out past Landsdowne Lake. I should mention that each team was responsible for approximately 5 kilometers of searching, is what we mapped it out to be. Sometimes it didn't. Sometimes it doubled. You know, one of the search groups doubled, and we'll talk about that at the very end. But this search group, they were to clear this area of the waterways, looking for any debris of any sort. And this is their line. So if I go back just briefly here, and I just kind of want to zoom in and show you. It's not going to let me zoom in and go to the next picture. It's fine. Facebook Live is not my friend. Okay, so you can see they started here, and if you remember from the picture earlier, it showed like the river actually going here and then coming back, but it was just flooded. We all got so much rain over the last few weeks. We sure know how to time these searches sometimes, but that's as far as they could get in. Then they had to come back, and then now they're on that south side of the river. An event took place here, and well, I'm going to talk about that more on for the group 3. All right. But after this event took place, we had asked groups 2 and 3 to come out. They came out here, went up to Lorda Park and came out, and we drove them back to the Union Center for a break and a debrief, and then we sent them back out. I wanted to thank the people at Lorda. You know, we did not want to just wander on the property. They did try and stay as best they could away from it, just to get up to the path to leave. But the person that was there was gracious enough to even drive our volunteers up, because they were exhausted. So I wanted to thank them for that. You know, there are some people that went above and beyond to help us while we were there, and we appreciate it. So they left. When they came back, I had them start in this direction first and just work their way down just to the trail at Lorda Camp and then come back out. And that was the extent of Group 2's searching. Well, there were a few items of interest found on this one. This is just showing the map builder overlay. I'm not going to show, well, I'll go through this one first. This was a boy's t-shirt. Well, it could be a girl's t-shirt, but it's a t-shirt. And it was a size 6. We took a picture of it, a better picture than this, and then we sent it to the investigator, and they communicated with family within, you know, an hour, and determined that it's not a familiar shirt to Jack and Lilly. I did since reach back out and ask if RCMP would go pick it up, because this piece of fabric was just nagging at me about possibly being a pull-up. So they did go and retrieve that item. So I thank them for that. I'm not going to share the photo of the bones that we found in the towel. They were animal bones. You know, I just don't, I guess my worry is AI just taking that photo and running with it. So anyway, we saw the bones, the group 2 did. I went and they had called me there. I took pictures of them and sent them to our forensic anthropologist. I had to get up to the top of the hill to send the picture. But she got back within minutes saying they were non-human bones. We still sent the same thing to the RCMP in the event that they disagree, or if they want to have their people look at it. We always overcheck. We never just take things as they are most times. Group 3. Now, this is going to be the best, showing this map is going to be the best time to talk about this, because Group 3, they were to, in my words, okay, we were coming from this direction. Union Hall is north on Gairloch Road, okay? And I was dispatching 4 groups from Landsdowne Station Road here. So naturally, I just told them to come down Landsdowne Station Road and meet me there. And then I dispatched, group 6 this way, group 1 that way, group 2 this way, and then group 4 this way. So group 3 was here, and then group 4 was elsewhere. But my wording to them was cross the bridge. You cross the bridge on that McLeod Road, and you go to the right. I anticipated and assumed that they were going to be coming down Lansdowne Station Road, but it made much more sense to them to go down McLeod Road. Why wouldn't they? They crossed the bridge and they went right. It was an oversight on my part. It was not an issue on their end, and all it really did, I mean, we'll talk about the confrontation in a moment, but all it did was shorten up the search area for search group 2, and then search group 2 was able to complete this full area in the afternoon. So I mean, it still worked out. It was okay, but anyhow. So this is the McLeod Road river looking one way, and McLeod Road river looking the other way. Group 3. So we're going to talk about laws in a moment about to access the river and property owners' rights around that and stuff like that. So, but I just want to show you that they had come down McLeod Road here. They had crossed the bridge and turned right. They did what I told them to do. And somewhere around here, the altercation started with, I believe his name was Wayne. So the law. All right, let me just check the stuff first. Okay. So the altercation that happened, Wayne came out and he saw people on what he perceived to be only his land. And he was upset. Property owners are frustrated in this area. Not because they're heartless. It's because their properties had probably not felt like theirs for the last 6 months. Many of the property owners we spoke with have had their stuff broken into over the course of the last few months. Some of their property has been destroyed. They're supposed to be reimbursed by our CMP for some of those damages that were done through the search, and some of that hasn't happened yet. And it's likely not because our CMP doesn't want to or anything. It's just sometimes you got to be the squeaky wheel in that sense. So to the property owners, I guess, on behalf of Please Bring Me Home anyway, we appreciate the kindness that you showed us while we were there. And even if you didn't want us to search your properties, like there were a few we showed up at and they just they still showed us the property, but like, yeah, I don't really want you doing anything, and I'll explain more of that. They were nice. In this instance, this gentleman did not come across nice. The response that he got back, albeit it was a lot, and the search, some of the search members in group 3 were quite upset back at the thought of why, trying to reconcile with why is this person so upset. I'm here to tell you now, it's just, I really think property owners are frustrated. All right. And as is Jack and Lily's family and friends, some of which were in group 3. So you have the perfect storm of events happening here. Okay. You have family and friends of Jack and Lilly on one side on group 3. They're in other groups as well, but group 3 here. And then you have another side of Jack and Lily's family who owns property here. This group 3 shouldn't have even been there anyway, but they were, and that's what they mean by perfect storm of events. Altercation happened. I got called about it. I got notified about it, and I had asked them and group 2 who had met there at the same time to leave and go to Union Hall and debrief. The laws around the river. So I'm going to compare to Alberta. Alberta has a law on their rivers where it's a 6-meter easement on both sides. So What that means is you can walk on the banks of the river up to 6 meters, but you can't really access the river through people's property. You got to access it from the roads. You'll see a trend with our searches. We're accessing the rivers by roadways to prevent us going through people's property as best as we can. Nova Scotia's law is different and it's kind of confusing. Nova Scotia does not have an easement law. You can walk in that river, no problem in the river. It's no one's property. No one owns it. It's public access. Where it gets tricky is anywhere where that river has put that land underwater, you can walk. So a line where you can tell that water was on there at one point in time, and I'm sure a lot of people in Landsdowne Station can agree that water levels are quite low. They certainly were over the summer, and they still are. So this group was following the law. This group was following the river, walking on an area that would have been underwater at a point in time. Do I expect Wayne to know that? I don't. Do I expect everyone to know that? I don't. I didn't know that. So it's Wayne's property, but it's also public access property from the roadway. So that's what we have to understand here. There was no intent, I think, on either side. I think it's just high emotions, it's a very difficult situation, and how this would not bring out some of the worst in people's attitude and emotions. I mean, what would we expect? Okay, so and I leave it. Wayne, if you do want to call and have a chat with me about it, I'm certainly more than willing to have that conversation with you. Brings me to the next thing, though. As the group was leaving to come back to the Union Hall, and there was a picture circulating that said these trucks were blocking access. Okay, it's hard to know. It's hard to know what. It's hard to know what's going through people's minds. Okay, and it's hard to know if they're really blocking the road with intent. Okay, so it's a back road. People do stop and talk to each other on the road. I mean, I grew up on a back road. I get it. But typically, if you see cars behind you, you just get out of the way. I would imagine Wayne was still upset, as our group was. So the group may have thought they're doing this on purpose. Wayne may have still been upset and didn't feel like moving. And I'm talking to both sides when I'm out there because I can see both sides being frustrated and flustered. I did see a comment that the person that Wayne was speaking with in the truck was an undercover cop. I did speak with the RCMP, and I did find that to be false. That was not a police officer, an undercover police officer there at any time. Now, is it possible that the RCMP are wrong about that? Maybe. But of course, I double-checked it. Is it possible Wayne just said that because, to say it, to get people off his back about it? Maybe. But at the end of the day, he stopped. He was talking to somebody in the truck, and whatever the reasoning was for doing that and making it difficult for the searchers to go. Maybe he didn't see them. I don't know. I wasn't there. Again, normalizing the I don't know, right? High emotions, lots of energy, lots of feelings. And then after we went back, I had come down with them and they had gone to the bridge here and they were to go in the other direction, which they did. This is the direction they were to go to begin with. We were able to explain that. I took the heat for that. That was my bad. I truly did say, cross the bridge and go right. Silly me. And they went that way, but then what was happening was there was a vehicle causing some distraction, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and revving their engine on purpose and hooting and hollering and stuff. And it ended up causing Group 3 to end their search early because they were fearful. It was getting later in the day anyway, so it made sense. So that was a difficult journey, that one, and I commend Group 3 for continuing, and I appreciate what they did. They did find some items, probably one of the more interesting ones. Sorry, this is the map builder overlay. I'll get there, but this is showing you what I mean by the waterway. Like the blue line is never exact. It's a rough estimate. And obviously this is where the crossing path was then. The mysterious green box. Okay, this one is so interesting to me. When I got this call in, I had called the RCMP because, of course, around the same time that this was found, the bones in the towel were found, the child's t-shirt was found, and this was found. I said in the beginning, stuff's going to be found very quickly if there is something, and it may mean nothing, but when they had shared this with me, I honestly had a picture in my head as a briefcase with Daniel's name on it. That's obviously not what this is. Once I saw it and opened it, and I think it was Jessica who was on the search, who had said that's a geocache. And it is a geocache. If you don't know what a geocache is, it's like a little, I guess, scavenger hunts. Even if you're not really looking for it, you come across them. It's just to open it, leave something, and write your name and date. So we see the book. It was in a Ziploc bag. And then, of course, this was the thing. It says Daniel Martel, May 3rd, 2014, left the 2012 quarter. So just adding to the stuff. And I wanted to get on here and talk about this because people are going to run with this, okay? I'm here to tell you. I'm working on going through the actual geocache site that shows you where stuff has been. It shows you all of where the geocaches have been. Somebody taught me this yesterday. This has been there for a long time. So to think that it was, dumped there, planted there purposely or something is wild. It is wild that his stepfather's name on it. It's May 3rd, 2014, almost to the day, 11 years. So, Daniel grew up there. It's all this is telling us is that Daniel took part in a geocaching. There's nothing here, guys. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. Nothing there to unpack. Okay, group 4. They were to travel down, starting at Landsdowne Station. And this again, I was to meet all the people at Landsdowne Station Road and dispatch those groups from there. And the other 2 were supposed to go off on their own. So this just kind of shows you where, the reason that these guys did go the proper way is because I dispatched them from here. Had I been there at group 3, I could have had them going the correct way. So East Matheson Road, traveling down the waterway here, and they were to go again and cross that pipeline trail because it was right around up here where that boot print was found. So we're sticking on the, that trend of northwest side of the trail where it may not have been searched the most. It's kind of like if you go into the hospital with a, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a brain injury and a broken pinky. They're going to look at the brain injury first. They're not going to look at the broken pinky. So it stands to reason that you're looking more so down this way from the children's house and maybe lessening the search criteria out this way. Shows you what they were able to get done. Some of these areas are too thick. Okay, so this is just showing you the difficulty they had getting through this area. That's all that shows. This group went all day. As did group 1, as did group 6. Without that break in between, because I ordered them back. They would have gone, but I wanted to reset the other groups. So again, following the water, they came out here. This is a trail here. And then they were picked up right down this way. They just couldn't get too much farther. And it was getting into the day. This was about 4 o'clock when they were here. And I really wanted to start getting people out of the woods. Showing you the map builder overlay. Pretty consistent with the waterway. Group 5 was focused on standing water areas. So Landsdowne Lake, and then you have these 2, you have this lost blue blob here that's not even in the correct spot. But anyways, they did go down and they did intend to walk the perimeter of these. The property owner was extremely polite and said, you know what? People are causing issues. They're breaking into stuff. they're causing damage, but they went as far as to show our search director where and how it was searched. You can still see lots of flagging tape, lots of evidence of the search. So we felt confident that it's overkill if we're doing that. It's been done, and that person's also been there multiple times searching on their own. We also decided to kibosh the perimeter of Landsdowne Lake. We had this group going up this perimeter of it, and we were going to have this group going up this perimeter of it. And we believe Landsdowne Lake's been done. We learned that in the few days prior from ground search and rescue that it was that, like, if there's one area that was overdone, it is Landsdowne Lake. It would seem to be the most obvious place to start looking from where the kids went missing. So again, they had skipped that one. This area, however, was interesting, and there is a standing water. I kind of zoom in and show you this, but it's in relation to this the last scene, and then there's the boot print. However this boot print gets there, if it's attached to their case or not, not for us to say. It's evidence. There was a child-sized boot print there. Do they walk down this way? Do they walk up this way and they're trying to get back home? Who knows? In any event, you have a clear trail that goes down here to this watering hole. So it was one of the standing water areas for that group who wanted to get looked at. That red line shows the likely path. And this here shows the standing water. Yes, you can kind of see it's a clear path, and it also cuts up this way. So accessible by kids. Now, what happened was interesting though, because the boot print was found here, roughly here. Don't, sue me if I'm wrong about it, but somewhere over here. My circle's getting bigger. Somewhere over here. They had found a very accessible trail just past that. And so they walked it down, and they were searching on both sides. Again, this is only one line. There were 5 people in this group. And then, of course, this path cuts out this way. And then, of course, the children, last seen here. And then they found another pathway going up. So there are just so many intricate pathways in here. So this is the area they focused on clearing rather than that waterway. This seemed more obvious to clear. So yeah, I think they made the right call with that. That took up most of their day finishing that. Not builder overlay. Okay, before I get into this last group here, let me just check on some things. Okay. Group 6. This one was honestly it took years off my life, I think, on this one, because never lost anyone on a search before. Still haven't. Came close. This group dispatched from Landsdowne Station Road. They were to follow the river up, and when they got near the top, they were just supposed to go due east and find the trail and come out. What did happen? Now, this is their track line. I mean, if I go back and forth, guys, I mean, that is almost, it's a beautiful thing because it's almost bang on. Right around here, though, is where stuff started to go wrong for this group. Now, it's about 3:15, and when I have to go back and forth to track down these search groups, I would, with this group, I could drive up this road a little bit and catch them on radio, lose them, and then I could only then catch them after that by going up this rickety path. Thank God I did not rent a vehicle and I have my own, because I don't think I would have been able to take the rented vehicle on here, or at least I'd be owing them a lot of money. So I'd catch them with radio contact, and right around, I guess here, somewhere up in here, is when they told me that they cannot find the trail and they're turned around. So luckily, one of the members was able to, although they couldn't see any identifiers on the map, they could see that they were going east. So they still had a good amount of battery and they were good. And so I just kept telling them to head east. I honked my horn out here for a bit. They said they could hear it. And then I went in the woods about 50 feet. and then they sounded like they were getting farther away. So that's what led me to believe, like I'm roughly here, that they started going up this way. And that's why they sounded like they were getting farther away. So I said, okay, it's about 3:45. I have 2 groups to get out of the woods. I'm going to come back. I got to drive out, and I will come back. But keep your radio on, keep going east, and we'll see you shortly. So my plan was to go get the groups out and get Damien to pick up his drone and hustle back up there as soon as the other 2 groups were out. At this time, there were already 3 groups out. We had 2 more to get out, and then these were the last ones. Sun's going down at 4:30, guys. So it was nerve-wracking. Got that done. It's maybe 5 after 4, and we're heading up this way. And happy as can be when I start seeing reflective vests. So we picked them up, we got them out, and then we find out that the lead for that crew fell, and it wasn't until later that they realized they had lost the walkie then too. So our only method of communication was they had lost it. So we were very fortunate. We did have the drone on standby. Like we just in case an event happened, and it was exactly just in case it did, we would have had time to locate them, and I'm grateful for them. This, by the way, group 9.8 kilometers. Crazy. If we were to add up everyone's individual lines, it's over 100 kilometers easy. For to do each group, we're looking at more like 40 kilometers that each group would have did together. It's not square kilometers, but you're walking that line, making sure that it's done. And then there's the map builder overlay showing you the water. This is the totality of the search. So it shows you all the lines and what it looks like after when we put it all on the map. I mean, it's not exactly like we shot it out to be, but in the beginning, but it is. Okay. I'm going to stop my sharing and save this.